for the hills. Batten down the hatches. And remember to brush your teeth. It's time for our most ambitious episode of the Sleepless Knights podcast ever. Titanic on a skateboard, board, starring Rad Abrams, skateboard attorney.
Like you, I love the shred.
And Leonardo DiCaprio.
Thrashing on the top of the world!
And Alf, an alien from another world.
Hey, Willie!
And Strawberry Shortcake. She smells delicious.
What?
And
No.
No.
What?
No. That's a lot of work.
What do you mean? What do you
That's
mean?
a lot of work for
We
this
set it up
podcast.
perfectly. We're ready to do it, right?
No,
Aren't we?
that's just too ambitious. I'm not in the mood, and I'm.
What?
I just can we just do a half episode?
We did.
right
It's
now?
already half. Didn't AU come up with the concept for the Titanic on the space?
They did, but we still we haven't really talked to Rad Abrams, and I don't
do
know.
we even have to talk to anybody anymore? We just feed it all into the computer program, right? And we tell Abacus, hey, I want A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and H.
and then loop back to A.
Hold on, H. I don't know. Anyway, it's so we can't do that. You're telling me we can't do that?
Well, I mean, we can do it, but I think we need more time to do it.
More time?
Yeah, because I mean, we were up all night, with the stream, and I'm tired.
I mean,
and
I
don't want
kinda
to
tired.
do all the echo, and I don't want to be on the phone for the 50th time with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's just,
Well, I mean, you are here for like a week, right? We're supposed to kick ass, aren't we?
oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're here for a whole
Should
week.
we reserve that for the episode though?
I guess so. So we've
I mean,
got.
can't
the
we just
cinema-
phone it in for one
All right,
podcast? Just
okay,
phone
so
one podcast.
Cinema. So we have our Cinema Insomnia. Maybe we could talk about that. The Cinema Insomnia episode that we're making.
Sure, whatever.
Okay, so I guess we can talk about Cinema Insomnia, our least ambitious episode ever, and then what does that make this our least ambitious podcast?
Let's go with that.
Okay.
All right, 3,
All right.
2, 1.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter even?
Can I go home?
Absolutely.
I just gotta let
There's
this.
the door.
All right, see you.
This is the least.
Put it like a ding 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 ding
Yeah.
ding. The door shut.
Yes.
Like as if there's a bell
They
on
got
the
a
door.
bell, like an old corner store. Yeah.
God, I gotta get that bell removed. That always interrupts everything in this production. Why do we even have that?
Someone comes in for some what do you call it? Hardtack and
Penny candy.
penny candy, exactly.
And some nickel nails and.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Can I have a handful of nails in a bag?
Some corn pone, maybe.
Corn pone?
Corn pone.
Corn
yeah,
pone?
that's some hillbilly stuff.
Do I have
yeah.
to bleep that?
Yes, definitely.
Don't look up corn pone.
Yes, please don't. Don't Google corn pone. Not with your kids around. Not with your boss over your shoulder. You don't want to Google corn pone.
Corn pone hub.
Corn pone hub. All corn pone.
All the time.
Hardcore corn
Pone, pone, pone.
Corn pone.
This is supposed to be least ambitious, and we're getting too ambitious. We gotta dial it back.
Is that too ambitious? Because I feel like we're just effing off.
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
no, because I feel like editor Paul's gonna be like, all right, now I gotta add an echo, and I gotta find music, and
So last night we did a little more. Actually, it was this morning. right?
I think both are right.
Yeah. We did a little more work on, I don't know why we have so many sessions for the least ambitious episode ever. But Cinema Insomnia, of course, is Mr. Lobo's television show. We're on our 24th year, ramping up to our 25th anniversary. And Paul and I worked together for a long time. And most of that time has been on this episode. But this is we had so many most ambitious episodes ever. We had Star Crash, which was before your time. That was a huge one. Star Crash episode was from 2003.
Yeah.
So
2003?
Yeah, 2003 or 4 was the Star Crash episode.
I would have been around. 2017's when we...
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 23 for
No,
some
yeah,
reason.
Yeah. No, 2000.
Sorry, my Alzheimer's.
You were
is coming in.
alive.
My Alzheimer's is kicking in.
Your old timers.
My old timers is kicking in.
Yes.
My alt.
It must be because it's Alzheimer's.
It's my alt timers. It's my memories of a different universe.
Oh, your alt timers.
Yes.
It's from an alternate timeline.
Yes.
I love that. We have to have that in the show. You're an alt timer. You got alt timers from being in too many different alternate timelines. So
2003 was
2003 was Star Crash, and Star Crash was one of those ones where we had a film that was a sci-fi sort of Star Wars knockoff, and Ken and myself and
Now, are you allowed to talk about Star Wars?
no, well, yeah, this episode doesn't end with a one.
Well,
does
I
it?
mean, technically, you're not talking about Star Wars. You're
No,
talking about
talking
Star
about Star
Crash,
Crash,
which
yeah.
is not talking about Star
yeah,
Wars
exactly.
itself.
It's definitely a few degrees off, but it was an Italian sci-fi epic, and it had a lot of references to Barbarella and Doctor Who and all sorts of stuff. So it's like, okay, well, this would be really fun. Since we're all a bunch of sci-fi geeks, let's just really do it up. So we built sets and we had costumes and we had a ongoing storyline where reels of the film were lost and Mr. Lobo had to recover all of the reels. And we'd find them all in order and show them as the story plays out. And so that was a really, really big episode for us. That's where Astronauty comes from. And then Astronauty begat Cosmonauty, which begat Micronauty, which begat, so that it definitely kind of created the sort of...
I think it all begets the whole thing of we always say, oh, there's no continuity to any of this. It's always like a Looney Tunes episode, but there's always damn continuity when you go and you dig down into it.
We have a loose cannon, is what I like to say.
Oh, speaking of loose cannons, I've got a grumbly in my tummy.
Oh, yeah. So anyhow, so that I feel like it's the granddaddy of the epic episodes is Star Crash. Horror Party Beach was a fairly big episode too, where that was a party episode where we scripted the first half and then we go to a big beach party at the producer's beach side. Wasn't really beachside, but beachside beach house. We go to the producer's beach house for the second half, and Miss Mittens turns into a monster and starts eating people. And so that, I believe, maybe Horror Party Beach was not only the granddaddy of the most ambitious as far as the scripted stuff, but it was all just the whole second half is just out of our tailpipe. So it's just we just arrive at a place and just make it up as we go along. And so that episode's really interesting because it's sort of the hybrid between super ambitious and having these props and things, and then having this part that's just unscripted and just whatever is easy and available becomes written into the storyline. And I think that our away episodes, like when we go to conventions and events, like when we went to Scary Merry Christmas, or the RetroCon episodes, or the one that we did with you and I and Aaron at the Cumberland Drive-In, the Creature Feature Weekend with the movie, let's remember the movie, Monster of Frankenstein, the animated movie, Monster of Frankenstein. So we did that at the drive-in. And did we know what the movie was? Yeah, we did. We knew the name of it. Right?
Sure. I think that was between you and Aaron. I was probably just helping with the shoot.
And then we had crushed Aaron's microphone.
Yeah, you had gotten a splinter and almost cut your hand open.
Right. I was throwing those signs around trying to be funny, and then I cut my hand.
Yeah, because I was like, jam it into the ground hard, and you jam it in.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're like, ah.
Oh, yeah, I got a splinter and fudge. That was a little bit of a cursed shoot, honestly. Because I think something wrong with Aaron's camera too,
right?
And then, yeah, that was rough. But we did complete it. And it was during the chronic diarrhea pandemic, So
And generally, like a lot of that, you and Aaron would be shooting, and I would be scouting out like the next shot or getting somebody ready or pointing out here, come over here and do this.
Yeah, exactly. You were producing on it, so it was sort of like, hey, this over here looks cool, or hey, why don't we get this? And then we, of course, did the world's worst. That's what's hilarious is there's an ad for the podcast in the Monster of Frankenstein episode, and the microphone's already been run over. So like it's like you're all weird and tinny, and the audio's really bad on the both of us in that one part. Aaron's camera is weird. So it's funny that like I think that was the last thing we shot was our little interview to promote the podcast.
Oh, with you and me, yeah,
with you and I.
We're sitting at your booth.
We're sitting at my booth at the drive-in theater. And I just think it's funny because it's just how cursed that episode is. It's like, okay, we finally get to mention the podcast in an episode, and our audio is just effed, and it's just like we're tired, and it's just not really a good segment at all. So,
in all actuality, we probably could have just came back home and just recorded it on a different day or just redone it. I mean, it didn't really have to be at the thing.
It didn't have to be at the thing, but we always shoot ourselves in the face. Anyway, so I guess it
wouldn't be ambitious otherwise.
I guess
that would be too ambitious.
The backstory is that we have a long history with doing these episodes that it's a weird mix of doing stuff that's too ambitious and stuff that's not prepared for at all. So that is sort of our workflow, stuff that's just completely out of your tailpipe, improvisation or haphazard, and stuff that we work way too much on, too much detail on. So I think there's some sort of mental illness in all of that. Don't you agree, Paul?
Sure. I don't know. My alt timers kicked in.
Which Paul am I talking to? Is this the decoy or
447?
447 Universe 447 Paul. Okay, now this is making more sense. So we have this tradition of episodes that are super ambitious, and we also have this tradition of episodes that are somewhat made up on the spot. But the made up on the spot episodes have been traditionally like when we're at a location,
right?
Because we don't know what.
Well, you have to kind of be that way anyway. You can't plan for anything when you're at a convention or anything.
No,
I mean the same with the cosplay stuff that I used to do and the interviews that we did. You know, we didn't know if we would get Neil Adams or not, so we couldn't plan Neil Adams. You know,
right. We had to just sort of prepare on the spot, and then we'd interview who we'd interview, and we would maybe go, oh, well, this person's got a great costume. Right. Let's see if we can incorporate this.
Come over here, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, random guy. We were at a convention, and there was this guy who was like, well, why don't you talk to me? Well, did he say that first? He was like, why are you talking to these other people? Or was that the first part? Like,
I think you were cutting an intro, or you were cutting a promo. You were talking to the camera, and he just kind of moseyed over.
and so, of course, in typical fashion, and this always seems to be the case with a heckler or with a person who is like, annoyed that you're doing something, and you're like, okay, well, here, I'll talk to you. What do you have to say? And then they just like crumple up. They just turn into a little walnut and roll under a piece of furniture and disappear.
It's like you could have gotten away with just wing in the background, and that would have been fine. But no, you wanted an interview.
I think the whole point is that he wanted to mess us up, and we in our Zen moment there, we just said, okay, well, we'll just incorporate this random dude.
All right, fine. Turn the mics on. Let's go.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the great, wonderful things about working with Paul is that there are all these things where, something happens and then we just decide to just use it. We just decided to make it part of what we're doing. And we did a lot of stuff for YouTube. Paul was trying to crack YouTube. I was trying to get more content out there.
Still trying. How many years later?
I know.
It's still the same.
Paul was trying to crack YouTube. I was trying to get more content out there and trying to reach people because, since my, the nature of broadcast really changed, and I was trying to find more people with Mr. Lobo character and with Cinema Insomnia, and I felt like my fans were I still feel like that my fans are just sort of fragmented. Every other day on Twitch there's somebody who's like, wow, Mr. Lobo, I haven't thought about you in 20 years. It's like, oh, Jesus. So
and there was also a lot of we never knew what was in store for the Mr. Lobo YouTube page, because just like every time I started up and I put a Cinema Insomnia episode, all of a sudden the channel just disappears and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't ever really wanted to do anything that was too risque. That would get the channel pulled down.
Right, because of all the weird copyright trolls and stuff. And the copyright between the robots and the trolls, and the squatters, it's hard to put anything up on YouTube without it getting taken down. And
YouTube itself,
and YouTube itself. Even if it's 100% original material, you still have problems.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we joked about last night about Negative Land, and I was like, copyright strike. Even now, because I think when we made the lateral move from the Mr. Lobo page to the Bestow TV page for this podcast, Negative Land still gets struck for it.
That doesn't make sense, especially since, like I said, they like encourage copyright infringement as part of their shtick. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense. But so Paul and I, of course, have this background of kind of doing fly by the seat of our pants stuff, and I believe it started. Did it start with Mr. Lobo Does? Like, I'm trying in my brain.
I've been trying. Mr. Lobo Does is we have like May. I mean, that's the premiere would be like May 10th, but I kind of feel.
When did we film the Clean House episode, which was the first in-studio Cinema Insomnia episode that you directed?
Right.
We showed here on Twitch. That one was here on Twitch, here in the studio on Twitch.
I feel like it was probably around the same time.
Okay. So we did we were very prolific across a couple of years there.
Very prolific in 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
I want that energy. Can we go back to that energy?
I don't know.
How do we get that back?
I think
we got old.
Well, no, we got chronic diarrhea 4 times. At least I did. That killed a lot of my energy and lung capacity. But I think in memory, brain fog, right?
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, yes. So we had, now I'm really like, which dimension am I in?
See, that's how it works.
Dimension or dementia?
I don't know. Maybe it's both.
Both. Dimensional dementia.
Yes.
Interdimensional dementia?
Planetary, interdimensional.
Intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic.
Copyright law.
Oh no, that's right.
Do I have to sing it off tune like last time? Like the final countdown?
The
High Council.
The High Council of Human Consumption would come in, and which was another recurring gag across our stuff. So anyhow, we started making stuff for YouTube, and of course we did our the Red House, Clean House special, which later had the Red House added to it, which we just showed here, along with our Clean Studio special, which was our podcast version of that, where Tate, our guest, is helping us clean the studio. Because we really needed to clean the studio,
and it's spring cleaning, so it was a triple threat.
So it's spring cleaning, and the same thing with the other episode with the Clean House special. We needed to clean the studio before we could get started. And
that was always a thing.
And we were like, well, let's just get started, and we'll just clean the studio as
let's just
we
turn
go.
the cameras on.
Turn the cameras on.
Let's treat the studio like Chris. Just turn the cameras on and go with it.
Exactly. and in this case, it actually worked out. Unlike with Chris. It actually worked out. But that's the exciting thing about what we later learned was an affect of a particular filmmaker, which I can't remember that guy's name now off the top of my head.
No, we had to go back to like the original episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, but basically the guy who made Hell Comes to Frogtown, or was it Hell Goes to Frogtown? See, now we're all screwing it all.
There we go. There, your Alzheimer's is kicking in.
But anyhow, that particular director had a technique of not scripting. So that was something that we thought was fascinating, where the technique was to plan it. You know where you're starting and you know where you're finishing for a scene. But beyond that, you're just letting happen whatever happens. And so Paul and I started doing a lot of stuff like that, including Mr. Lobo Does, which was a 17-part web series in which we take on various different topics as the character Mr. Lobo, or the persona Mr. Lobo.
Right.
And so we did Mr. Lobo Does Free Comic Book Day was the first one.
Right.
And then we had
Monster Bash.
Mr. Lobo Does Monster Bash,
which had luncheon because we just did that.
Yeah,
at the
Mr.
same
Lobo
time.
does lunch. Mr. Lobo does procrastination. Mr. Lobo does internet acronyms. Mr. Lobo does, and then the very last one was Chubby Bunny.
Chubby Bunny Championship
Mr. Lobo
Challenge
does
to
the
death.
Championship Challenge to the death. That sounds like a last episode, right? We just blow our whole wad right there, blow our whole Cadbury cream egg on that last one.
On that and marshmallows.
And marshmallows. And so, which we show every year we broadcast every year with our Easter special, which is Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. So those of you Cinema Insomnia fans, you may have seen us do our improvisational material with that episode. And currently, right now in the studio, of course, we've got a whole nother least ambitious episode. That we're slogging through somehow. Our least ambitious, in which we are also.
It's already become more ambitious than.
Yeah, that's the other side of pulling stuff out of your ass. Is sometimes there's too much coming out of your ass.
Ew,
anyway.
Gross.
we're going to try to clean all this up, and we'll be back with more Sleepless Knights podcast.
Great TV. This is going to be an outtake, I guarantee it.
You think so? It's not going to make it?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
None of it.
Creative continuity. We bring the convention to you.
This is Mr. Lobo for Creative Continuity, and I'm here at Baltimore Comic-Con with Chris. Yep. Chris, tell me all about it. I know you're a super fan. You're checking everything out. Tell me about the show.
Well, it's good. It's a lot better than some of the bigger cons. It's got art. I like the art. It's got some interviews and things like that, and it's great. Much better than some of the bigger ones.
If you don't admit that you're complimenting, I'm going to tickle you. I'm going to tickle this guy.
Go for it. I want you to tickle me right now, Neil
I
Adams.
will tickle this guy. I'm not. Are you kidding? Don't challenge me not to tickle you. I will tickle you.
I like that my big head is over your shoulder, like you're conscious.
No.
You're the whole time
Okay,
keeping you on the straight and narrow.
okay. I'm sorry.
Should you really have said that? I say.
All right, Veronica. Okay. Whatever you want to talk about, Veronica. Whatever. We had a little bit of technical difficulties before the show. I'm sure the BBC does a much better job.
Shall I
setting
tell
up.
you what it was? They hadn't got a microphone. Loco.
Thank you so much. This is. I mean, we could talk for 4 hours about music, and
Let's do that.
Okay, let's talk for 4 hours. You don't have anything to do, right? So stay right where you are. We're gonna have a 4-hour conversation. Watch your cartoons, read your comics, follow Ken's artwork.
You should.
And this is Mr. Lobo signing off with Ken. Thank you so much.
Anytime, my friend.
For
Next time
Bestow
he should hold the
TV.
mic. I think it's really weird that I'm holding the mic.
It is weird.
I
We'll
think
work
it's
it
weird.
out. We'll work it out.
You know,
This
I
is
feel-
Mr. Lobo signing off for Creative Continuity from Baltimore Comic-Con. Later.
You can catch the rest of this interview on youtube.com/PestoTV.
Okay, I'm me, he's whoever, and who cares? It's our least ambitious episode of the podcast.
Am I me though? I might.
I mean, yeah, that's right.
I mean, I could be from some.
For which
I think I'm in 423 now.
423, whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. So anyhow, we have this method that it's interesting because there wasn't even, we didn't like read the book on it that the one guy wrote who collaborated with the director. We were looking for Julie Strain initially, right?
Yeah.
Who had married one of the creators of the Ninja Turtles.
Kevin Eastman, yes.
And she was the most, speaking of the most whatever, but she had appeared on the most covers of Heavy Metal magazine because she was attractive lady, statuesque, giant brunette chick, and she would pose for illustrators and artists, which is probably how they met.
Right.
Kevin
Eastman eventually bought Heavy Metal.
He bought Heavy Metal,
So,
yeah. And I believe the second heavy metal movie is all about her. Yeah, it's his.
He produced it.
Yeah, so she's his muse.
Yeah.
And she got some very horrible. I don't want to get in too much, but she got real sick with some horrible thing that took her too early. And I even have a little action figure ornament of her. I don't know if it's still around, but anyway. So we were like, let's look up Julie Strain, and we fell into this rabbit hole with not only the movies that she had been in. She'd been into some movies, but she'd been in a lot of these movies where they had an improvisational script. She might have been in one of the Rollerblade Warriors movies. Seems like that would have been right.
I seem to recall, yeah.
So
it's hard to say. We tried to look up during the break, and Internet Movie Database just sucks.
That's okay. Yeah.
It is not the way it was in 2017.
No.
Can we go back to 2017 Internet Movie Database?
Yes. Can we go back to anything 2017? Because I feel like you and I had our best energy.
Can we just alternate universe back to 2017 and we'll just sliders into 2017, and we'll just go from there. And do we go there with future? Do we go there with future knowledge and just try to avert everything, like avert the whole
That
thing?
would be great. Yeah, we could.
And then we get pissed off because we never get any production accomplished because we're just changing the world, and mad because it's just ending up the same.
No, that would be funny. Or if we made the world better, but we're still the same, and we didn't really accomplish anything more, and we're mad that we didn't fix ourselves.
You know, the alternate universe of 2017 us was more prolific than we were. We fixed the world, but we didn't produce as much.
We didn't produce as much. We actually made it worse for ourselves, but we made it better for everyone else. So anyhow, we had this. There was this concept that was very sticky for Paul and I, which was the idea of it gave a word to something we were already doing, really.
Right.
And so the idea of this sort of improvisational filmmaking, which was very much how the movie Spinal Tap was made, where that movie is mostly improvisation, and then each scene they would have an entry point and they would have an arc. And where they were, where that scene was going to end, and facts and figures a lot of times were already, like in Spinal Tap, like the names of the albums and the names of the tours and the names of the characters, all those things were all predetermined. But the rest of it was just each individual actor, whatever they wanted to say. Whatever these go to 11, whatever it is, that was just all whatever creativity they had in the moment of being that character. And
can we put a pin in this a second? Yeah. It's just so I can just bitch about how great the subtitle to the sequel to Spinal Tap is, and so mad that we didn't come up with that verse. What is it? Is like the ending begins?
The end continues.
The end continues, and I'm like, that is such a Sleepless Nights title that never existed.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
I am so mad that they came up with that.
Future Begins Again, or whatever our stupid things that we have, all of the things that we've done. It's surprising with all of our silly kind of punny or wordplay sort of titles that we've done that we never ever thought of. The end continues. The other thing that's clever is that it's not Spinal Tap 2, it's a 1 and a 1, so it's 11.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, so that's extra clever too, because it goes to 11.
Because they went to the Roman numerals, I'm assuming, or it's supposed to be Roman numerals,
but
Roman
numerals, but it could be just 11.
11.
Yeah. So that, I mean, gosh, with people like Harry Shearer and Michael McKean and Christopher Guest. Those are some of the best improvisational comedians and just best comedians of all time.
Let's have them do the podcast from now on.
And Rob Reiner too.
Right.
Bunch of super clever guys. We could be clever, can't we?
In 2017, I think we could be.
We
dipped into that well too much.
Juice here. We gotta get to.
I don't know. I watched some footage of what we did earlier, and we seemed to be clever then.
Which was only a few months ago.
Yeah.
When you have people like Christopher Guest and Harry Shearer and Michael McKean and Rob Reiner, those are the best improvisational best comedian comic minds ever.
Right.
So we should just
have them do the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll go vacation on an island somewhere and let them do the podcast. They might already be doing a podcast.
Yeah, true. They might already all be on.
There might be a Spinal Tap podcast that they're doing.
Let's listen to that now instead of this.
If there isn't, should we make one?
Have a Spinal Tap podcast? Oh wow, there'd be a lot to talk about. So so that's an interesting thing because I wouldn't say that's an unambitious movie. That's actually a very ambitious movie, but a lot of it is improvisational. And anyhow, so in our own quest to, we did derail the Spinal Tap a little bit, but what I was trying to get to from the beginning of this segment is that this term kept getting coined, most ambitious episode ever.
Right.
And the culmination of that was the one that we thought would be the most ambitious,
right,
of the most ambitious, and probably stay the most ambitious for a while because it was a little too ambitious.
Yeah.
The Ghastly Love of Johnny X was incredibly ambitious. We had the director and his wife fly out here. I wrote parts for both of them in the episode, integrated them into the storyline. We filmed partially at a restaurant, partially at, we had locations. We had the drive-in, the oldest operating drive-in in the world. We got to film in the projection booth and the snack bar and on the grounds of that. And I had to plan their wedding vows, and their actual real wedding is in the intermission of the episode. So I marry them in the episode. And then, we've got all these cars. We've got the Mittens Mobile. We've got Aaron's convertible is supposed to be Paul's car in the movie. And so all this stuff was. Oh, and then we have a girl gang in the movie, which has my estranged wife in it. And so the beginning of our separation was happening at that time. So involving Dixie was very difficult because there was a lot of emotional stuff going on, and God bless her for still even wanting to be in the episode. But my wife and I are breaking up. Aaron's car breaks down. We break the window on his car where we can't get the window to wind up, and it's raining. And we have to the manager of the theater helps us take Aaron's car door apart so that we can get the window to come up, and then we have to use like tape or something to keep it from falling back down.
Is it the same? What theater was it? Is it the same theater that?
This is the.
Is it a cursed drive-in?
No, different drive-in. Okay. This is the Shankweiler's drive-in.
Should we stay away from drive-ins whenever we do another future episode? You guys have bad luck with them.
And so we had all of that, and then we had what was the other thing? There was one other thing. Oh yeah, my phone got smashed. I closed my phone in the trunk and destroyed it. So I lost all my contacts. I lost everything. So there were so many stressful things with that, and again, trying to balance, working with a real operating drive-in, working with a real filmmaker and their film. Like we can't mess up the presentation of their film with the director, part of it. So it was a lot of pressure. It was extremely difficult. I'm really proud of what we did. Actually, what's interesting is we call back to one of Paul's early puppeting routines. From the Xenia episode where the hula hoops, remember I'm being judged.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the Return Coming was probably another ambitious episode of the time.
Yeah, the Return Coming is a hugely ambitious episode. It starts in the future, and I'm on trial, and there's like a floating hula hoop going around me that Paul is in black, puppeting this hoop to make it look like it's spinning around.
Am I still in that? Because I know you had to reshoot that.
No, that's the original part.
So I'm still in that?
Yeah, that's still the original part. And we duplicated that with Paul, because in this, Paul is being interrogated by the high council of his own home planet.
Drop his last name, because there's two Pauls. So you're probably confusing.
That is really confusing. Paul Bonnell, the director of Ghastly Love of Johnny X, he is kind of being kind of interrogated by his boss, who's an alien from outer space. And then we do that same gag where he's in black, and then there's like a spotlight coming down, and he's got like the hula hoops around, the floating hula hoop around him, puppeted by Ben Stansbury, a puppeteer. And you did a nice job too, though, Paul. Not being a professional puppeteer, you did a damn fine job. And so we had Ben Stansbury.
Hula hoop guy, a fly, a leech.
Yes, a branch.
Eric Miller.
You're Eric Miller, a branch. Any hands coming in from off stage or weird puppeted things.
Our YouTube stuff would be Glagnar.
Oh, you said leech, right? You didn't say it.
Yes, yep.
Yeah. Yes, the Glagnar, who is the kind of monster hands that deliver the packages for
Unboxing,
reboxing, which came after Mr. Lobo does.
Mhm.
And those were really funny because, like, speaking of too ambitious, like it would take me a half an hour to get into the box because I'd be just like using like an eraser to try to erase my way into the box, or I'd have like little children's scissors that wouldn't work to try to get
nothing
into the box.
sharp.
Nothing sharp, you know, little rubber mallets and things, and it would just take me. I would deliberately just take forever to get into the box. I just imagine people screaming it, "Oh, just open it! Get a knife!"
And it's a thing that an affect that carried over to Twitch.
Yeah.
And people still like nothing sharp. You know,
Yeah,
nobody's
yeah,
yelling
yeah.
at you to just
Yeah.
open it.
Yeah,
they
that's
want
true.
the
Yeah,
log
Mr.
drawn
Lobo's
out.
not allowed to use sharp objects. So I got my Chinsei knife, which is a plastic party knife. I'll use that sometimes.
I mean, I believe last night we opened it up with Lucky Charms.
Yes, that's right. We just threw Lucky Charms at the box, hoping that it would open. And one of the other things too is I carved a whole pumpkin with a not sharp plastic knife, and it was driving people out of their minds because it was so like, and I was hurting my hands trying to do it, and the plastic knives were breaking into the pumpkin. So people, that is definitely a carryover from Paul and my time making these sort of silly, spontaneous, improvisational bits and shorts for YouTube and etc. So anyhow, in
Back to
the
Paul
wake
Bunnell.
of Paul Bunnell, the most ambitious episode ever, this one nearly destroyed us. It was very, very hard to make that episode, for it to all come together, and it all came together. And it is. I'm extremely proud of it. The same way I am with Super Turtle, which we all worked on. It's another most ambitious episode ever.
Right.
And then the one we made I think we did the Cyberpunk special after that.
Yes.
And then we did the there was the second Super Turtle one, which was it was say twice as ambitious or 3 times as ambitious as the original Super Turtle, which was way too ambitious.
And then you got jackass pantsless producer Paul, who's in the wings of either Twitch or Facebook or wherever. Where every episode was the most ambitious episode, and it just kept getting to the point of Paul in the comments going, "So when's the least ambitious episode coming?" Ha 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 ha! You and Aaron should make the least ambitious episode. Ha 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 ha!
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yes, big joke.
We're like, well, why don't we?
Why don't we? Exactly.
Thanks, Chris. Look what you did.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Good job, Chris. So yeah,
Damn it, Chris.
Everybody hates Chris. So, that is actually, I feel like, the germ of that. We had the most ambitious. Paul suggested the least ambitious. And then I think it's funny.
But it wasn't even a suggestion. It was just a joke.
It was just a joke.
But
yeah.
I mean,
but it became a suggestion.
I feel like a lot of Mr. Lobo does kind of germinates from that same thing. It usually just starts as a joke, and then eventually it's like,
starts
let's
as a
explore
joke,
this.
and it kind of sticks, and we're like, oh, well, yeah, let's explore it. And so anyhow, we just thought we would, and that's, I think the difficult thing is it's one thing to just not try and do something, but it's a whole other thing is to try to not try and do
on
something.
purpose.
It actually is somewhat hard because a lot of times I feel like you and I are like, well, wait a second. That might be too much.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
You suggest something in text, and I send a text back. That's too ambitious.
Yeah.
Draw it back a little bit. Well, we could get this person and this person. No, that's too ambitious.
Yeah. So I think that there is a finite thing of even being too ambitious within the least ambitious episode ever. We watched what we had shot, 6 months ago? How long ago was it?
Well, originally we thought it was November, and then it's like I couldn't find the footage that we streamed because there's footage we streamed that was supposed to be a part of the show, and then kind of having to go through. It was like, oh well, my camera data says this was August, and it was like August, and I guess but like, oh yeah, I guess it makes sense. We would be doing it over the summer. So yeah.
So it's almost been a year?
Yeah, almost.
So
not even. Just shy.
Just shy of a year. possibly.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, we're only in May. I might as well say it's April now.
Yeah,
We're in April.
So for at least I guess that's part of it. It was so unambitious that we just sort of not finished it.
It made a joke out of itself because every time you would promote it, I'd be like, oh, "What? Oh, we are? Oh, we're doing this? Oh, this is a thing? I don't know. I'm not ambitious enough to even finish this film, so I don't." So it becomes a joke on itself.
So the good news is Paul's here, and we watched the episode today, and it'd been so long that we just laughed at our own jokes all over again. So obviously, what we did must have been pretty funny if it were to catch us by surprise and be able to laugh at it. And there are some props that aren't even here in the studio anymore that are in there. And luckily I was wearing my sleeping cap, so my hair length doesn't really matter.
Right, and we seem to have probably been aware that we were going to have a break, or I don't think we thought it would be this big of a break, but that we, if we didn't come back to this is going to be a break point. So if we had to reset up,
it might have been just before we went to California or something.
Probably.
We thought, okay, we don't know how long it's going to be until we can come back to this. So we have a good breaking point here that we can almost do whatever we want,
right?
Which keeps it in the realm of being as ambitious as we want it to be. So speaking of being ambitious, maybe we should have some ambition towards taking a break, and then we'll be back with more of the Sleepless Knights podcast, or whatever.
Like you, I love to shred, but even a hardcore skate punk like myself slams once in a while. Have you been injured in a skateboard or skateboard-related accident? I can help. I'm Rad Abrams, skateboard attorney.
Dude, I can't even. I was lit AF.
Even if you can't even, and you were all AF'd.
Brad let me sleep in his dumpster, and he got me these bath salts.
That's right. I'll even get you bath salts.
What the f***? It smells like my grandma.
Don't delay. Call Rad Abrams and Associates today. Look for our ad in Pressure Magazine.
Follow me on Instagram. Later days, dudes.
Zen it up, do 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 do. Zen it up, do 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 do. Zen it up, do do do. You think we're gonna get copyright strike for that?
Probably, most likely.
I don't even think we can't even sing well enough for that to matter. How does it know? How does it know? How does it find the song? How does it even find it?
The AU from Germany just scans it all.
Damn. Okay.
The AU rules it all.
So again, there was some spontaneity right there. This was not. We did not plan to sing that.
No.
That was not.
That came up during a slating.
Yeah.
We were just slating.
And then I'm like, yeah, let's
just do that.
Let's just start it like that. So we had. There was some confusion because I kind of thought we started with like the soda, Mr. Lobo trying different sodas, and then it evolved to the unboxing, and then it evolved into Mr. Lobo Does. But that's not how it happened at all.
No, it's
Mr. Lobo Does happen the first.
Yeah, because I kept saying, I said, like, I recall us having the discussion of let's do the unboxing, reboxing as Mr. Lobo Does.
Yeah.
And I very adamant about the fact that it's too big of an idea for what Mr. Lobo Does is. That maybe that's just a YouTube thing that we just keep coming back to and just keep revisiting.
Yeah, and I think the Mr. Lobo Does term you coined when we were at Williamsport Comic-Con. Or not Comic-Con, not Williamsport Comic-Con, Free Comic Book Day.
Free Comic Book Day, yeah.
Which we did Williamsport Comic-Con also.
Which is the pseudo-sequel, one of the rare sequels to Mr. Lobo Does.
So, I think Internet Acronyms and Williamsport are the only two that have, that have sequels.
Yeah, because there were supposed to be Street Signs. Street Signs, we recorded a whole bunch of that stuff and then never recorded what the photos were supposed to go with it, and it just fell apart. We only ever got one episode done.
I could just redo those. I feel like we could bring that back. Some of that stuff I feel like could be reincorporated into Cinema Insomnia somehow. That could just be little departments, just like we have the snacks segment or the Real 7 Girl. Mm-hmm. We could have a thing where Mr. Lobo,
I mean, the unboxing, reboxing has become a regular bit on Twitch.
For sure. Yeah, and I feel like even the the male sex on Cinema Insomnia have adopted a lot from the our segments with the unboxing, reboxing.
And I remember you just cracking up because you were like, you were talking about doing unboxing, and I had pitched back going, well, you should do a reboxing where you put something back in afterwards.
Yeah.
Nobody does a reboxing.
Yeah.
We wonder why we can never find views on YouTube when we're trailblazers and do our own crap.
You know, damn us for being creative, right?
Don't write those funny titles. Nobody's going to click on that funny title. Here's an AU that's going to tell you what that title should be.
Oh God. So, you know, I mean, why do it if you can't add your own flavor to anything?
Right.
You know?
Be generic. Be like everybody else.
Yeah.
Just emulate whoever's getting all those clicks, and just emulate that.
Yeah. And then how did the first person ever find the thing that gets all the clicks? That's the thing I don't understand. If everybody's supposed to just copy from everybody else, who's the first person?
Right. Are we just was it an aura? What the snake? The snake that eats its own tail. It starts with an A.
I don't know.
Arashikage.
Aurora yes, that's right.
That thing, yes.
Anaconda.
Don't want none unless you got buns, huh?
So whatever. So basically, the idea is that we would unbox. Now, was some of this stuff was stuff that people really sent.
It was people that were. That's why it was too large of an idea, because people would send stuff.
Yeah.
And people were still sending stuff that we just could never get to. We never had the time to get to a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
It was just like, you're like, I have to unbox this because
yeah.
Somebody's cat's in this or something. You can't wait 6 months.
God, you remember the thing that Renee sent? Renee had built.
She had contacted me and notified me that it was on its way. So I knew about it before you even opened it.
I remember it was basically a play set, and it had a little Mr. Lobo action figure and a Miss Mittens and the rocking chair and the side table and the black void and all these accessories, all these props and toys and things for the Mr. Lobo figure, and layered instructions on how to put the whole thing, how to put the play set together, all the different features and everything. I mean, it was so amazing. And so it took us, an hour or something to get through it all.
It took us a long time because that ended up being, that episode was like 4 or 5 parts.
And was that it was
a long
unboxing, reboxing?
It became Christmas. I think by the time I got to it, we were just like, let's just make this Christmas.
I think it was in red and green wrapping initially.
Was it?
Yeah. So I think that's why we decided to do that, because it was in a red and green wrapped box. And then I think it was, it's a toy, it's a present,
right?
It's very personal, sweet,
right?
So I think it was a perfect Christmas thing. But yeah, it is. I think we had it in the wings for so long that it seemed like, why is this Christmas? But I think it was supposed to be Christmas.
And this is one of the things we just played that over Christmas.
Yeah.
For the first time on the stream, and just cracking up. Speaking of like forgetting our own jokes, just cracking up, going, I forgot about this thing. I forgot about the reoccurring joke with the hat and the reoccurring joke with the snowman. And,
God, yeah. And
and all this stuff that came from the freaking the salted caramel Pepsi. You want to talk about? Getting stuck in an idea that ends up that you use the idea like 50 million times, and the 50 million times like, oh God, I gotta pop buzzwords.
Oh yeah, right.
I gotta pop an entire paragraph onto the screen.
Oh yeah, we had a thing where and that's the thing where it came in reverse order. And really quick on Renee's thing, real quick, and then maybe this is too much of a downer, but I remember Dixie coming downstairs, and she sees this thing, and she's like, that woman loves you. Mm. I would never make something like that for you. Anyway, so so I thought the unboxings came from actually they did come from Mr. Lobo does, but it does seem because it's really a part of it where we broke it out into its own thing.
Right.
And while we were filming an unboxing, that's when we got into the drink thing. That's what you're saying,
actually
right?
the procrastination.
It was
we had all the procrastination.
It was Mr. Lobo does.
And Dixie had come home with a new brand of soda.
So it was a salted caramel Pepsi.
Yes.
And I think it was there was Dixie and her friend. Mm-hmm. They came over, and they had this drink, and they each had taken a little tiny sip out of it and thought it was disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And they really wanted to see me drink this drink and react to it. And I was already I was fully, in my gear as Mr. Lobo. I was behind a desk, and we decided to roll on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
because if you watch the Salted Caramel Pepsi episode and the procrastination episode, you'll see like the setup is all very similar.
Exactly the same.
And this very desk.
Oh, yeah. The Criswell, what I call the Criswell desk, because I had discovered that Criswell had like a broken down 50s folding table for his, psychic medium table in Plan 9 from Outer Space. So I thought, that'd be cool if I had an old broken down 50s folding table. But anyhow, so I had drank it, and I'm sort of, like I said, we were fully juiced in the Zen mode, and so I was vamping a lot while I was drinking this drink, and Paul was filming it, and I had edited it.
I recall like we were sitting there
because I think I had this vision of the words kind of wiping on in a certain way, popping in, and so every time Pepsi was said, right, that popped on. Every salted caramel, Pepsi. Each word would pop on as it was said, no matter where in the conversation. If I said salted, it would come up.
If you were saying like assaulted, you're saying not even in the context of the word it's supposed to be or whatever.
And then a caramely, every time I said caramel, caramely, any variation on caramel, I'd pop the words in. And did we have the trademark symbol in there too?
So, yeah. It's on I think it's on Pepsi.
And this is another thing where we made it way too complicated, right?
Yeah.
Because we create this running gag that creates so much more work. And then,
because what happens is that we end up wanting to recall it.
Yeah, right.
And when you recall it, then you got to amp it up to 11.
Right.
To recall like segment 2.
Yes.
Segment 1-1.
Yes, segment 1-1, exactly.
Where you have to make that joke, just one more.
Up the ante.
More.
Yeah.
One more than 10.
Yeah, one more than 10.
And then when you
over the cliff.
And then when you get to the third time, well, then you have to make it one more than the last time.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to Renee's it's like you've already got like the salted caramel Pepsi pop and everything else going on.
It's all these different graphics
like,
popping in.
What did we do to ourselves?
And, animated snowmen and all of this stuff. So I do feel like that was almost like the high water mark or the culmination of all our craziness was of the unboxings and everything else.
I feel like we kind of hit a wall when it came to unboxing too, because there were so many people that were sending things in.
Yeah,
because there's stuff that didn't even make it out, like the scratcher tickets and stuff.
Oh yeah,
people were sending that. But I think it got to a point where,
and there were there were more beverages too. I guess we didn't get into that area, but
yeah,
there was Mr. Lobo tries. Did we call it something like that?
I think it's just try. It might be just tries or. I don't know.
But we had all those gross sodas,
which my mom bought.
Oh, she bought those.
She bought those.
I don't think you ever told me.
Yeah, we were out somewhere, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, Mr. Lobo tries this because you had already did salted caramel Pepsi.
Yeah.
You did barbecue payday.
Yeah, which was Lawrence Laney Lofton sent in the barbecue payday,
right?
Which they don't make anymore.
No. And she said, "Well, I dare you to do this," and we did that, and we did it all in the same night too, because you were so sick by the third one.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, we did three different episodes in the same night.
Mm-hmm.
And did we ever do any beverages after?
I don't think we did anything after.
So we
that.
basically
I think like if something came out, you would just be on Facebook and you'd be like,
yeah,
here's this. But I don't think we ever filmed it.
Yeah, I think, and that became part of the streams too. Yeah. I think that's really interesting is that a lot of the stuff that we experimented with during our prolific era there ended up being reincorporated into future stuff. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, made a little bit more easier in flow and everything.
Yeah.
Not necessarily have to have the popping words and stuff.
But it definitely like I feel like on Twitch, like the whole like mukbanging and eating weird stuff and drinking weird stuff, chalky milk time and all of that, I feel like is somewhat derivative of that time period. And then I also feel like some of the unboxing stuff sort of made its way into Cinema Insomnia. So I feel like it was a really good proving ground for new material.
Right. But I was saying, like, I think we had kind of hit a wall when it came to unboxing, reboxing. Yeah. Because I don't know how many deep into it. Is like, how do you do something new when it came to the reboxing? Because we always did it backwards. We always tried to figure out what the reboxing was because you never knew what was in the package. Yeah. So you're like, oh, well, we're going to do this. We're going to do the 5 points of mailing, the UPS 5 points of mailing safety, not mailing safety, mailing standards. Was it their
something
standards?
like that? It was they were testing it for quality or something. Yeah. So there was the points of you had to look at all the 5 points of inspection, and it was just basically the corners had to be smashed, and
But it was the trying to figure out what we were reboxing to be original each time and how to unbox. And I think eventually it got to a point where it's like, we've already did this like how many more times, especially when you're doing it all within like the same day or the same week. We were doing them like back to back to back, where eventually we were like, okay, I don't know what more we could do with this joke.
Unboxing, and then there was, and then sending it back. That was the joke, is that we would look at all the stuff and then we'd throw it all back in the box and send it away again.
Because even like Renee's was downplayed because I had one out and bought a Pantsless Ken.
Oh yeah,
and then you just look at it and you just toss it. That was your mail back. You just throw it over your shoulder. I don't even want this.
Yeah. Yeah, that was supposed to go back.
Yeah, that was the rebox.
That was the rebox.
And you just toss it over your shoulder.
Yeah. So I guess that there is a challenge of, and I think if we kept doing it, it would have been a little repetitive, and we probably would have come up with some more different things to do.
I think if we would do it, well, we do it like what we're doing in the stream, where it's a little bit more. Now, we don't really do the rebox on the stream.
No.
Should we bring that back now that I'm here and I bring the Glagnar hands with me?
The Glagnar hands, yeah. I could give it back to you to send it back to whoever, or to send it to a totally different fan.
Yeah.
Open two things from two different fans and then send them to each other.
We put them in each other's packages. And here you go, send it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like if we would, I think our problem was that we did too many at the same time. If we would have paced ourselves and did it like every other week or once a month.
Well, we were doing, looking at that era, we were doing so much.
We were doing a lot. And there was just so much, and like I said, there was so much we didn't even get to.
We were still trying to do Cinema Insomnia. We were still trying to do, again, try to create trying to kind of see if we could find something that would strike gold on YouTube, which we didn't.
Still. To date.
And then, so we were experimenting with entirely new things because we had Retro New Review.
Right.
And there was another one, too. Like, I feel like there were a few different other brands, too.
The Retro New Review, like that I migrated that over to Bestow TV, and I was going to co-op that and try to do that myself. And then I never did it myself because that's why I ended up buying my own Glagnar hands to kind of...
Oh, yeah, right. And then there was Retro New Review, which was basically we were looking at products, toys and stuff. And they all had a retro, if it was Star Wars or G.I. Joe or Transformers or Garbage Pail Kids, it was something that was an old franchise that has a new thing. Right. So we're reviewing a new item, but it's a nostalgic item.
We were supposed to unbox Aaron's Unicron and break it.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess, it made it into an episode or made it into a live stream? We never made it into a retro review.
The concept we introduced into the RetroCon episode, which I think is the second RetroCon episode, which is RetroCon the movie 2, Rise of the Space Thunder Kids, something like that. Return of the Rise of the Space Thunder Kids.
It's such a Traumator name.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's another affect that I think that arose from that era is the really convoluted.
Calm down.
That was another thing I think that really came from that era is the really convoluted, made up titles for episodes. And speaking of convoluted and made up, why don't you listen to this, and we'll be right back with more of our least ambitious. Did you get your trading cards?
Oh, yeah. I picked them up.
Oh, wow. Look at these.
I think I got like the last two that were in the box.
Were these from the comic store or from Target? Or?
Sure.
All right. Wow. Okay. There's 8. Looks like there's 8 or so. 8 cards and gum shards, it says.
Yeah.
All right. So open this up.
Do you think these are going to be worth a lot?
I don't know. Oh, I hope so. Should we have left them in the package?
I guess. I guess. I mean, isn't it really weird that they have the Sleepless Knights podcast trading cards, Patreon trading cards?
That we don't know about?
I mean, did licensing get a hold of you, or did they just do this?
No, I think they just did it, but I'm glad we can finally see them for ourselves.
Here, let me open up mine here.
I've got, let's see, yeah, there's 8 of them here.
Do you want to try the gum?
Oh, yeah.
I dare you. I dare you to try that gum.
Ooh,
This gum is, look at how hard this is.
It's like pale and...
like that's just in my hands.
Yeah, I got a piece too.
All right, here. All right, I'm going to try it too.
It doesn't even chew. It like
mine tastes like a foot.
Oh no, Paul, that's the Papa Nana corn chips.
Oh, should I try this pinkish one? Is this the gum? The pink one?
The pink one's the
pink
gum.
flavored.
Yeah. So look, I got the current Uber fan.
This also tastes like a foot.
So I got the current Uber fan here, and I've got. Yeah, some of these, there are different distinctions here. So some of these are current Uber fans. So number 12, do you have that one? Do you have Michael Housel?
Yeah, actually, I have a Michael Housel, but...
you have a Michael Housel.
Do you have a Ben Dale? Do you need a Ben Dale?
Ben Dale. Yeah, I do.
Here, I have an extra Ben Dale. Here, have my Ben Dale here.
Oh, I guess so we're just trading Ben Dales?
Sure.
I do have Ben Dale. I don't have Anita.
I mean, do you have the Ben Dale in the red shirt or the Ben Dale in the pink shirt?
Oh, I have the
because there are 2 Ben Dales.
Yeah, I see there are 2 Ben Dales in here. All right. Well, I guess.
Well, here's the pink shirt.
All right. So we'll trade off. Okay, there we go. So now we have that.
Okay.
And then there's. Okay, and Anita. Do you have Anita Rivnik?
I need Anita.
You need Anita?
I need Anita.
Okay. Do you? I could trade you. If you've got a John McCallum, I'll give you Anita Rivnik.
Hold on. Let me try this other one. Here we go. Who'd you need? John McCallum?
I
need Anita.
You need Anita? Yeah, I'll give you a John McCallum.
Stay on script.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right, there we go. All right. So these look pretty cool. So I think I've got, the major Uber fans here. And I guess we could see. There's super fans too, but I don't think I have any here. They're on the.
There's a super fans checklist on the back.
I see that. I see the checklist. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. So we're gonna need that guy. That's number 43. And we're gonna need this other person.
Yeah. Look, like that person's on twice when they played on 2 different teams in the same year.
Oh,
and they got traded.
That's right. Yeah. Wow, very cool. Well,
is that a Garbage Pail Kid?
Well, they've got.
Is that a sponsor or is that a Garbage Pail Kid? That seems like a Garbage Pail Kid.
They've got
name.
something dripping from their nose. It could be one of our sponsors.
Okay.
If you want to join the team or upgrade or join us for our next month's recording, patreon.com/Sleepless Knights podcast/membership. Gifting memberships are available if you'd like to gift your friend or a loved one, have their name mentioned on the show.
Speaking of gifting, here, I'll gift you this pack. You can have this one.
Oh, wow. All right, I'll open this next. We'll see all you members in segment 5. Now let's get on with the show.
Oh, God.
Don't stop putting that in your mouth.
You think it would be better if I chewed the card?
They smell like bubble gum. They're probably good. Okay, we're back with more of our least ambitious podcast ever. This has been pretty easy, Paul.
Oh, what? Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
We're trying to be, not somewhere between trying too hard and not trying hard enough, and that's a hard place to be. We started.
Not trying hard is hard to not try.
It really
is very
is.
hard,
and nobody likes to try hard.
Yes.
So that's always something to remember. Certainly, the harder we try, the less it's appreciated. It seems. So Paul, you said you.
And if we don't try hard enough, it still isn't appreciated. So we just.
But at least
you might as well try hard to make the one person happy, which is you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because then if the audience is unhappy and the artist is unhappy, then there's no point in doing it at all.
Right.
So I'm very proud of the stuff that we've done, and like I said, so this what we're working on now
I kind of feel like the joke also kind of expands from like maybe a YouTube atmosphere where where we were just saying where it's like you try too hard and nothing ever comes about it. But if you don't try hard enough, that's the one that gets the 1,000 views.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the almost the joke in on itself from that. It's like, we go and we do all these interviews and we don't get a view. I knock off somebody's TikTok and it's the most viewed video ever on my channel, Something I didn't even try, just ripped somebody else off, made jokes on it, made dirty jokes that people complained about. But because people were in the comment section complaining, that was interaction.
Yeah, that's the thing is I think that annoying people has become the currency of the internet, honestly.
Right.
People always talk about, grammar and stuff being bad on the internet, or it's all calculated.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they'll even tell you, it's like, all right, ask this question, but ask it wrong.
Right.
Because not only will you have people
say words wrong. I do that naturally.
Yeah, that's true. You're very good at it. Part of that's the
Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Alt-ires?
Alt-ires?
What is an
I
ire?
don't know. So we have I don't know. I'm alt-tired. So you have people who are going to reply to the actual question, and then they're going to be like, hey, I before E, or or that's you're saying a double negative or whatever it is. That still counts as interaction for them. So really, like when somebody writes something on the internet that you don't like, if you tell them you don't like it, they've already got what they wanted out of you.
Right.
So that I feel like is a lesson that nobody has learned, is to ignore things that they don't appreciate.
My big thing to resist is all those reels on Facebook and on Instagram and stuff. They use the term POV, but they never shoot in goddamn POV. That is not POV. That's just you holding your camera to the side.
It's a weird thing of just, I remember I was at Rutter's or something, and I was so mad at this concept of everything being so amateurish and terrible that I remember just fumbling my phone and dropping it in the garbage and just filming like, just like, okay, it's real, this is me, and making fun of that kind of like not trying very hard video stuff. And, it got as much or not as more views than something that I like thought about what I was going to say and had some sort of thing to do, or, it's very frustrating sometimes when you realize that it used to be that cream floats to the top, but I think crap floats to the top.
Just as much.
Maybe
much.
Better. Sometimes better. But they're not happy though. That's the thing. Like, when in like even in like an OSI where, we have, almost 1,500 pieces of programming on OSI 74. And you have producers who were like, oh man, this cat got pushed off a table and got 9 million views. And I'm like, yeah, but are you in the pushing cats off table business? Is this the kind of content you want to make? Do you even know the name of the guy who pushed the cat off the table?
Do you know how many cats that you have to push off the table to make $100?
Right. So, again, it's one of those things where it's like you have to look at your own journey and not always looking at what other people are doing, and to try it. You really do have to be happy with what you're doing first. Because if you're not happy with what you're doing, then there isn't any point in taking it to the next level. But speaking of not being happy, we're working on our least ambitious. Finally.
Ouch. Oh, I feel the burn on that one.
finally finishing the least ambitious episode.
Well, the funny thing is we're back to shooting the least ambitious episode, but we haven't shot a damn thing yet. Let's do the podcast first. Why are you getting dressed? I don't get the camera out.
Yeah, okay.
This is how ambitious that episode is.
But I do feel like that this
is a part of it.
This is part of it, and this is the culmination of all the work that we've done, right? Definitely calling back to our days with the Mr. Lobo Does stuff. Definitely calling back to our other episode, the Clean House episode, which was made up completely while cleaning up. Although we messed it up all over again. By the end, we brought everything back out again for the payoff. And then Aaron had put the movie in for that one, Which is funny because we initially thought, oh, okay, well, this is going to be a generic episode. We don't reference the movie at all. It's all made up. Mr. Lobo could be watching any movie while he's cleaning up. And because Aaron put Red House in there and it fits so well that it's very hard to imagine another movie in there. And we never did release those wraps for other people to put their Star Wars or their favorite movie in there.
Right.
You know, but so on the docket for today, are we filming any of the least ambitious
We are
episode
filming.
today?
I probably need to charge some batteries, but I guess we're gonna have probably break for dinner. I'm assuming, and
go to Home Depot.
Go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
Go to Walmart for the 50th time. But you know, it was. Did we? I think we briefly. I with my alt timers, I can't remember, but I think we briefly said about we had texted out a bunch of things, kind of had a skeleton to this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been so long that we've lost those texts. You have resent them to me, and I jokingly said, "Oh, I'll never save these, and we're going to text so much I'm going to lose them again." And it's happened.
Yep.
It happened.
Yes.
And you're like,
and then you lost your cards too, right? We had
no,
cards.
I had the cards.
Oh, you had the cards.
I
with
feel
the
like there's
notes?
more. I feel like there's more Post-its though. I don't know where all the Post-its are with the cards. But we thought we lost the footage for the stream that we streamed and recorded. That was a part of the show. But we found that. And it's just trying to remember what we shot. And then we actually have these cards that actually have Post-its on them. It's like, oh, yeah, you said this thing. Done. Oh, you said this thing. Done. Oh, you said this thing. Done. Oh, this one, you blah, 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 blah. This is what we have to do. I see no reason why the set has to match. It doesn't matter that it's been since August. Yeah. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 9 months ago.
9 months ago. It does. No, the set doesn't have to match. It can, though. Now that we've looked at the original footage, we could decide to make it transition more or not.
I kind of feel like it would be a
difference.
transition, kind of like how the clean house is, where eventually like the lights
becomes
move out of
somewhat
frame,
normal. So we're kind of working our way back toward the normal setup.
And then we got to figure out there's a few blank cards, and it's like, oh, well, what was this? Maybe did we leave this blank on purpose, or was there supposed to be something on this?
Yeah.
Is this one of the missing Post-its?
The thing that strikes me the most is that how hard it is to not be ambitious. Like how much more work it is to not be ambitious.
Yes.
Because honestly, it's somewhat easier to have something fully planned a lot of times.
Right.
Because a lot of times it's like, okay, this is loose and whatever, and we're just going to do whatever. And there's so many options that loom up. There's so many options options on top of options on top of options. It's like, okay, now we have this huge amount of choices. And then there's the things like we're talking about, like where this thing gets lost. We forgot about this other thing.
And we're talking
Where's
about
this footage.
And we're talking about just writing that into the episode.
Yeah.
Let's just write in a 6-month time skip. Let's just write in that the script was lost. Let's just write in. I mean, that's the whole thing of Zen, right?
That was the thing of Zen. Our version of it, anyway, is that whatever comes, we just incorporate it. And I think that
this is a thing that happened. Just throw it in there.
And that's a thing I think that definitely has also influenced my work lately too, with the Twitch and everything else. It's like, let's just incorporate it. Let's just incorporate it, And we continued that when we had Tate come and cleaning the studio while, he's helping me clean. He said, "Hey, can I come over and help you clean the studio?" I'm like, "Yeah, that would be great." And then we also did the podcast, but then we had him still vacuuming and
doing everything
cleaning,
in the background. And we had April cleaning last night as well. I'm just coming in, walking through, making worse of a mess while April's cleaning.
Yeah, so it's this weird thing where it's interesting because it gives it an honesty, because a lot of the jokes and the humor, and this has always kind of been present, because even with Cinema Insomnia, you can kind of track things that are happening in my life through my material in the show. But it is really interesting when it's much more direct, where it's like this is a direct result of something that's happening in my life, and now it's part of the show. And then part of it's made up, but it's kind of real.
Right.
But it's sort of the thing we're doing, but it's sort of made up.
But I think because it's a real thing, I think people relate to it more.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, I can relate to the scissors, and I can relate to the scissors coming back. No man can have too many scissors.
What's interesting about that too is that in doing it showing it on Twitch, you can see all those people's reactions with, wow, that hits home.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Ouch.
yeah, I've had that feeling.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, you're not kidding about hoarding. So all of the notes of the Clean House special that we did, that we thought, okay, well, this might resonate. I mean, everyone's struggling with their mental health and stuff too, which is something that I talk about in that episode too. Is you see Mr. Lobo kind of struggling with himself. I feel like, and then of course struggling with other people, where it's like you can see someone else's problem really easy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've got too much junk. Let me get rid of your crap. But when you turn that same thing on yourself, it's like, well, I got to keep this.
Right.
I got to keep this other thing too. Oh, well, can't get rid of this. But your thing here, that could go. And it's not just about being a jerk. It's just the reality of it's so much easier to see another person and their problem and not see your own problem.
Right.
Yeah. So what's next on the agenda for today, Paul?
Well, we'll try to figure out what we're gonna shoot for. I mean, I'm surprised we didn't shoot more than what I thought we had. I thought we were more deep into.
Yeah, we're not that deep into the episode.
Like
3 wraps,
3B or something.
Not 3 wraps, but 3 segments.
3 segments plus a cold open.
Yeah, 3 segments plus a cold open.
See, I'm lost is that we have a post credit, and I'm like, what was the post credit?
And we didn't film it?
What is the post credit? It just says post credit on there, and there was supposed to be a post credit. And I'm like, what was the post credit?
Hopefully we'll think of it.
Or we'll just come up with a new one.
Or we'll come up with a new one. That's the beauty.
I mean, I feel like a lot of again, this joke could be. I mean, this isn't really Clean House 2.0. It just has some callbacks to Clean House. So I kind of feel like if we do a thing where you started the episode and now things are a little bit more sorted.
Yeah.
And maybe you're just kind of just casually rooting through something and be like, oh, I feel like I've been doing this for like 9 months. This feels like forever. We're so good at self-deprecation that we could throw that in there, and it's a real joke that's.
It reminds me of the thing
joke.
yeah, exactly. It reminds me of in Trauma Tour where there was like this unbelievable gap between the one part of it and the wraparound that I'm like cutting my hair, pretending to cut my hair.
It's because we had to transition because we were like, oh well, we shot Trauma Tour and then it was months before we shot the studio stuff.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we need some sort of transitional thing. And I threw on my shirt that I always wear, and you're out in my car looking in.
Yeah, I'm cutting my hair in the rearview mirror.
It's like you cut your hair right after the tour is how it logically plays out, which is so stupid. It's like, why would you cut your hair after the tour? Wouldn't you do that before?
Yeah.
And it was the setup of the joke of like what happened to the tape, and it's like me handing you the camera,
and the camera.
Like, this is the best show ever, and you're like, oh no.
And then and the tape is still in the camera that we hadn't done anything in between that time. If for those of you who've seen that episode,
it's actually we just went through that because it's like, where's the footage from? Where's the footage from Twitch that we need for this? This 3B calls for this. Where is that? And I can't reshoot that because I didn't bring this.
Yeah.
And we don't have the stream has changed so much in 9 months. We don't have that text
and you don't
bar,
have your shirt with you, so we couldn't reshoot it.
Yes. And
oh boy. Yeah. And then the whole format of Twitch too. We changed that since then. So
the chat bars, we haven't been able to get it back on because I don't know who set that up. Was that Aaron that set it up, or was that?
It's a combination of things. That might have been,
or just a whole bunch of experimentation.
Melody.
We just have to figure out how that was. Well, I guess we can get it on the old computer now.
We could get it on the old computer now. Yeah,
just pick it apart.
But I think some of that stuff could be improved. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, how are we doing on time there, Paul?
We're done. Let's get out of here.
Because I'm just so I think
I'm ready for a nap. Let's take a nap.
I'm all out of ambition.
Can we start this tomorrow? Let's take a nap and we'll start tomorrow.
Nap, and then tomorrow.
Oh wait, tomorrow I have to run over to Lancaster real quick and do a thing. And,
that's okay because I have some mailing.
Okay.
I'd like to do.
Right.
So
well, maybe we can do it Tuesday. What are we doing Tuesday? I'm so glad I put aside a whole week to come down here.
Wait a second. Well, Tuesday's the cheap day at the movies. Maybe we could go see a movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that new Bugs Bunny movie.
I'd love to see that again. Yeah, you definitely want to see that.
All right, well then what about Wednesday?
Sure.
That's my line.
You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say, pODDcast.
Pa'oddcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Deadhouse Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at
patreon.com/Sleepless Knights podcast.
Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
Pa'oddcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.